Hi. How's life in LA, Joy?
It's, it's like I live in the city now and I really love it. I didn't know I would like that because I'd been gone for my whole adult life. I've been living out in the country or in Florida, and I came back a year ago and I really like being in the city, but I don't really go anywhere. It's just everything's so handy and it's nice. Yeah, so LA is not a problem for me because when I go someplace, I go at night after rush hour.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh,
So
okay.
just clarify for us, what time is it over there? Is it you 11 a.m. at the minute or just gone 11? So,
It's 11 o'clock, a little bit after 11 o'clock in the morning.
right, we have got it right then. It's 8 hours different.
Yeah. Joy, I need to apologize.
Late.
I'm awful with time differences. I think you said when we chatted, we're 7 hours different. And then I checked. I think I made it, my calculation, it was 6 hours difference, but now it is 8 hours difference.
Actually, 8 hours. Yeah.
So you guys are up late.
Yeah, it's 7 o'clock our time.
No, it's only nearly 7:15 here, isn't it? So,
yeah. No.
it's fine.
Joy, you're an author, speaker, realtor, a design psychologist, an internet marketeer, a teacher, and a proud grandmother. You're a lady of many talents. Well, where do we start?
I don't know. It's your show.
Well, you've been through some trauma in your life and some disaster as well, haven't you? I mean, I assume that's where everything started. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what the trauma was in your life? You lost a daughter, husband, and cousin, if I remember rightly, all in a matter of a few months.
But it was about a year. My 25-year-old daughter passed away very suddenly, and it was really difficult. And I don't remember the next year. And then my husband died, and he was too young. And so I didn't know how to cope with the loss, and I didn't really want to, so I ignored it. And I went on Twitter and I started just tweeting my heart out, but I never told anybody what had happened to me. I was just there to be Joy and try to live as best I could. And as a result, I made a lot of friends around the world, and eventually I started traveling because of Twitter. And I got to go to Australia and Turkey and Greece and all over the Caribbean and all over Central America. And so I got to travel a lot. And as I had been an author before that, and that's when I was actually a best-selling author, was before she died. And I've since only written one book, and I'm working on 4 more right now. But yeah, what I've learned is you have to mourn in your own way. And I hear people saying you've got to face the grief right on. But my son, who is a neuroscientist and went to Columbia Medical School, told me that I had to stop grieving so hard because I was killing my heart. And my heart actually did hurt, physically hurt. And so I just started forgetting it and going on and doing other things. And they're always there in the back of my mind, but if I think about them too much, I still cry. And then I lost my mother last year. So it's not only that, when my husband died, it was the recession back in 2007. I lost 5 houses and I had to start over. And I knew how to do real estate, so I'm okay. And in fact, if people, every once in a while, they'll try to get me to buy their program so that I can make lots of money. And they'll say, well, don't you want to be a millionaire? I say, no, I don't want to take a step backwards. And people don't realize that. They think that because I'm a widow and my husband died, that I lost all my property, that I'm poor, but I'm not. I started over. And if I can do that with everything I've been through, my message to other women especially is that you can do this. It doesn't matter if you're older, you can start over. I started over in my 60s. So if I can do it, so can you.
Joy, you're the author of over 20 books. Are these mostly textbooks, design psychology? Or
No, I wrote
fiction?
about flipping houses. I wrote about, not fiction yet. That's what I'm working on.
Okay.
But I always say when I grow up, I'm going to write fiction. Just not ready,
right.
not ready to retire. And so I wrote books on design psychology, flipping houses with design psychology, staging houses. And I wrote a book on credit, how to get the credit you need to buy real estate. Well, those were my big sellers back in the early 2000s, but they're all out of date now. So you don't want to go buy one of my books right now because I'm writing new books. And the only book I wrote since then was in tribute to my husband, was something that we had come up with when he was still alive. And it was a night we were sitting around and he was playing guitars for our daughter with my son-in-law. And I was writing one of my books and he says, "What are you writing now?" And I said, "Oh, how to get better credit." And he goes, "Oh, people want to know how to have better sex." And Ted said, "Oh, and make money." And I said, "Oh yeah, and lose weight." Because I had a weight problem for years and I finally got it all off, and I've kept it off for 3 years. I can talk about that too. But so I wrote a book called How to Have Better Sex, Lose Weight, Make Millions, and Eat Chocolate.com. And my kids didn't like it, so I took it off the market. And but I don't know, maybe I'll just give it away. We'll see.
That's still on Amazon, Joy. I saw that today. I thought it's the best book title I've ever seen in my life. Brilliant.
It is
You got it.
incredible, isn't it? Yeah, it certainly captures your attention when you look at the title of the book, for sure.
Well, it's about self-help too. And actually my P's are in there in a random sort of way, because I believe that there's balanced elements of our being, and people always talk about finances and relationships, but nobody talks about the home. And home is where you live, and home is so important. And so I am the speaker about home and the power of place. And that's what I really want to instill in. Besides knowing that you can do something, you got to know that if you have your home life settled and your home is harmonious, you can do it better. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah.
So the 9 P's then, these 9 principles, did this start after you decided to put your mind into everything after the grieving process was done? And where did these 9 P's come from? Did you devise them yourself, or is it was someone else's that you've
Well,
adapted?
it's just something that I came to me, and I'm still all about peas because I don't know why. I should call myself the pea lady, I guess. But I mean, today my big thing is I want to take your product to publicity, for your profits to prosperity, so that you can become a philanthropist for peace. And so that's my P's today. But my old days, I was about, oh gosh.
Purpose, passion, picture, plan, prepare, perform, profit, and pleasure. There you go.
Yes.
That's your memory.
Okay. Your purpose, you have to figure out why you're here. Everybody's given a divine gift for some purpose. And it can be a very simple purpose, just to make a few people happy, or it can be a big purpose. Like my purpose right now is housing. And so I'm working to create a place where people can go that are homeless, where they have tiny houses in a community that's guarded so they're safe and they can get back on their feet. And so I think I have this big purpose. So my passion follows through, because my other pet purpose is peace, because I have 11 grandchildren so far. And I really, really want us to have world peace. So my passion is peace. My purpose is housing, maybe, but my passion is also housing and peace.
Wow.
And so how do you get this? Well, you start picturing it in your mind. Did I skip one, or am I right on track? So picturing things in your mind, it gives you a direction to go in and kind of see the end result and kind of work towards that. So every day when I get up, I say, thank you, God, for another day. This is the day the Lord has made. Isn't it beautiful? And let's do this. What are we doing today? And then I listen, and I'll be given guidance. I don't always do a written out plan, because I'm very much about what I'm supposed to be doing, not what I want to do or what I have to do. I try to do what I have to do and what I want to do, but mainly I do what I'm guided to do. Okay. So that's, so if I picture what I'm given to do, then it can happen. And I'm proof of that, because I saw a house when I was almost homeless, and it was a big estate home, and it was vacant. And I started picturing my furniture in it. And, you know, I lived in that house for 10 years.
Wow.
And every night when I went to sleep, I'd picture where I'd put my desk, where I'd put my bed, where I'd put whatever. Every detail was pictured in my mind. And if everybody would say, how is she going to do that? But I did. I got that house.
Hmm.
So after picturing, what do you do next? You have to help me with it.
Plan. Is it plan and prepare?
Yeah, you prepare. You have to get your skills set. So before you can really plan, you have to know what you have to know. Well, you can plan, but you have to know what you can do and what you can't do. So there's a learning curve. A lot of times I had to learn how to build websites. I had to learn how to write content instead of books. And, I had a lot of things I had to learn, and I know how to design books. I know how to do marketing. I can do it all. But you have to learn what you don't know. And sometimes you don't know what you don't know. And then so you have to ask everybody else, well, what is it I'm missing here? So you need to kind of have friends helping you and guiding you. But so do you plan, and you're picturing, and what's next?
What have we got? Plan, prepare, perform, profit, and pleasure.
Okay, after you plan it and then you perform it, you have to do what you are guided to do. You have to do it. You have to take action. You have to do things that you feel a little bit afraid of. I had to learn how to get up on stage when I was selling books and talk to 100 investors about how to fix up these fixer houses. And for me to get up on stage was really kind of a skill that I had to learn. I mean, it was a teacher, so that was easy. But when you're the teacher, you only have 30, 40 people, and there's no lights on you and cameras and everything. So I had to step out there and do something that I was a little bit afraid of doing.
Yeah, I've actually heard that before. I've known, I know of teachers, and they're quite happy to stand up in front of a class of students, but put them on a stage and they've got to perform and do something. They can't do it. It's a completely different kettle of fish. Yeah.
Yeah.
It must be difficult.
First time I was under the lights, they just like shocked me. Wait, what am I doing here? I can't see anybody, because I like to talk to people. This is why Zoom is kind of cool, because I can talk to you rather than being on a phone and trying to figure out something, This is much better because I can actually be in front of someone. But yeah, so you have to perform. And then when you profit, you have to watch what you do with your money. And I see so many internet marketers, they make a lot of money and then they spend it without securing their future. And they think, oh, easy money, I'll just keep making it. And then pandemics come along. So I call it the pandemic. It ruined my business. And so I had to start something new. If I didn't have real estate, I would have been messed up really bad again. But and then when you finish all of those steps, if you don't stop and do something that you want to do, then you won't get any energy to keep on going. And I learned this really hard again this last week, because I worked 12 to 19 hours a day, every day for 30 days, because I was building a website that I really needed to get done for myself and for people that I want to help. And it was really important to me. So I found it was really pleasurable for me to do something that I like, because creativity is fun for me. And in fact, I want to write a book called Depression to Joy Through Creativity. That's one of the books I want to work on. But first, I've got some other ones I'm starting already. And I'm really all over the place, but my new business puts all my pieces together. So I'm coming all together finally when I'm like in my 70s. So my mom lived to be 95, but they didn't take care of her. And she died because of the pandemic, because they took her to the hospital for an infection. It wasn't COVID, and they just ignored her, and she passed away.
That's awful.
And she was old. They just didn't treat her.
Oh dear.
And her mom lived to be 98, and her aunt 107. So you guys are stuck with me for a while.
Wow.
We're glad of that. Joy, can you tell us about your Joy TV network?
Joy TV network. I started that website a long time ago because it was for videos for authors and speakers to do things. And I did a Tweet Me Right road trip, and I did Tweet Me Nice videos, and it was just for Joy TV network. Well, guess what? Now I'm going to be on Roku. So it's all upgraded really big, and I have a lot to learn, but I'm learning the platform to start putting videos up. But my idea is to help people who are like authors especially, they don't realize they need a platform. To get a real publisher today, you have to have a platform. I mean, you can, one in a couple thousands might get a book that's a bestseller without a platform, but it really helps if you do have a platform. And what is a platform? A platform is videos, content all over. You want to see your name everywhere online, and you want to see your smile now everywhere online. And so Joy TV Network is for people who don't want to pay a lot of money to buy a Roku channel and then give up 30% of their money that they make to the person who has the Roku channel. Well, guess what? It doesn't cost that. It's very much a lot less money than that. And so what I'm providing is Joy TV Network for qualified people to put their content up, and it's like $39 a month. And that's, I don't get that. That goes for people helping me put it together.
Yeah.
But the idea is that there's no ads, no spam, because we can. It's all quality content. And I'm sorry, coaches, but I already have too many coaches. I don't want people selling coaching on Joy TV Network. I want it to be entertainment and education. And I am going to give away how to market online for free to everybody that wants it on Joy TV Network. And I want to feature people that are doing incredible things. I did my first interview for Artist and Soul yesterday, and it was really fascinating. I interviewed an artist in Hawaii who's only been painting since 2017, but he's in New York studios now, art galleries. And Robert Gann is his name. And he was fascinating. But I learned when I did the video that I need to have a new hairstyle. So I don't know. I look kind of bad in my video, and I hope to not feel so self-conscious, but I like the way that you're doing your interview where it moves around. You need to have 3 people to make the camera move around on Zoom. I don't know these things. There's a lot of things I need to know to go forward with Joy TV Network, but I do know one thing, is that because of my influence and my platform, I'm going to drive traffic. And that's the difference between me and the other Roku channels, is that I will tell people to go watch you on the big TV in their living room. And that will be possible.
Yeah. Plus, you've got over 200,000 followers on Twitter, haven't you? You've got a massive following.
Yeah, 208,800 or something this morning. I had more before, but then they did the Great Purge a few years ago, and they cleaned out accounts that were no longer active. So it doesn't really matter. The numbers are not as important as your impression numbers. And so when you talk to somebody and they have a big Twitter account, you want to know, how many impressions are you getting? I get like 1 million impressions. I get like 100,000 a day.
Wow.
And I've been up to 6 million in 1 month.
Wow. That's incredible.
So impressions is what matters. And so I call myself the website traffic controller, because I put out a tweet and I say, go here, go see this person, go see that person. And yeah. So that's what Joy TV Network's all about. It's like content marketing to the extreme. Now, I sold all my books before when I was bestseller and author in the early 2000s through article marketing. Well, you probably heard that term, article marketing. Well, article marketing grew up to content marketing. Well, now it's going to be all video marketing. But you have to still have your stuff on websites pointing to you, you know? You've got to have a lot of things so that when somebody Googles Jeanette Joy or Jeanette Joy Fisher, you see I'm on a lot of websites. And that's what I want for everybody that wants to be an internet influencer or whatever. What's the next term going to be? You know, right now we have social media influencer. What's the next term going to be? We don't know. Everything changes. Every 5 years, it's different.
Yeah.
Right? So we're on the cutting edge of Roku. We don't know where that's going. To be on a big screen TV in a living room means that people will watch you longer than they will on their computer, where they're distracted by email coming in on their little notice up here. Oh, I got to go see what that's all about. Oh, what was happening over here? Oh, I forget. Now go someplace else. You know, there's a difference between being on a screen on a computer or a phone and on the big screen on your TV.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. You're spot on. Absolutely spot on. Yeah. Brilliant. Okay. Can we just diverse slightly? I think you mentioned on your, I think it's on Twitter, that you were a teen model or a teenage model, were you? Back in the day. Tell
Oh,
us a little bit about
back
how
in the
that
day.
happened.
I'm glad I got out of that. Well, when I was younger, I lived in Orange County, California, and it was very easy to get into the modeling in Hollywood. And so I was a teen screen magazine model. And I was in one movie, and then I fell in love and got married very young, dropped out of college. My parents were so mad they wouldn't pay for the wedding. But this is back in the days where you actually had to get married to feel like you could have sex, you know? It's changed now. Now it's like, I probably wouldn't get married at 19 again, but back then it seemed like the thing to do. And I felt also that I was guided to pick this boy. And we had 8 babies. We lost one, and then we lost a daughter, but we were married for 39 years.
Wow.
And it was great. He was awesome. And he was really cute. And he was always good. So I was lucky, you know, but my mother is a model, and she's my age. So I figured maybe I'll go back into modeling now that I got so skinny. I recently lost 77 pounds.
Wow.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Yes. And everybody treats me nicer. It's amazing. And I would tell women, just eat superfoods. Just eat superfoods. Forget everything else. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
It does.
A full exercise regime, Joy. A full exercise regime as well as good eating.
No, I don't exercise. I don't have time. I sit here and work all day. I did not count calories. I did not pay attention to anything. Everybody always talks about what you can't. You can't eat this. You can't eat that. Do they ever tell you what you can eat? No, I never saw a diet that said you can eat this, 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 and this. Well, my partner moved in with me 3 years ago. I met him on Twitter, and he and I are business partners. And he feeds me. And he's nice and thin. And so guess what? Because I'm never hungry, I never had to worry about what I eat. I just kept dropping the weight, and I've kept it off. So the whole thing is to eat superfoods. That's it.
Makes sense.
You know, I don't have to tell you I don't have to tell you what not to eat, because if it's not a superfood, just forget it. And I can have coffee, and I can have tea, and I can have wine with dinner, but no.
That's a nice treat.
Yeah. Well, it's all about being in control of your home, your life, your business, and everything. The more in control you feel, the better you feel. And I feel a lot better being in control of what I eat, because I never was. I always ate what people gave me. My kids would feed me, my husband fed me, and then my partner moves in and he feeds me. So it's like, okay, I'll eat that.
Joy, did your husband, did he have an involvement with the Beach Boys?
Oh, my husband played with them at the Rendezvous Ballroom. Wow. And he played with Jose Feliciano. Yeah. And so I got to meet some pretty incredible people in the day. Dick Dale and Dale Tones. I go way back. Surfer Girl. I was the original Surfer Girl. I would take my surfer to the beach and sit on it. With my long blonde hair.
That's incredible, actually. So did you actually find any fame through that link with the Beach Boys, or was it everything you found is all
they
your
don't even
own?
know who I am. I just was a hanger. I was just around,
Yeah.
I was one of those in the audience with one of the band guys. He was mostly a studio musician.
Got you. Right, I see.
And I made him quit doing the band because he was in a different band, but he played with all these people. But I made him quit his band because he was going out at night too late. We had kids, and I was like, no, this doesn't work. You got to do something else. And he did. He became a special ed teacher.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
and
Yeah.
it was really meaningful. He saved a lot of kids that were criminals. They had been arrested. He had the kids that were arrested for, well, one kid was armed robbery, 8-year-old. And so he had these children that didn't know how to read. They were not developmentally disabled, but they were environmentally disabled, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah.
The environment, their home environment. So anyway, that's my whole life story in 15 minutes.
Well,
Oh, wow.
so you're so it's Michael, your partner now, is it? Have I got that right?
Pardon me?
Is your partner now, is that Michael?
Yes.
Yeah.
Michael
So
Robert Lawrence.
right,
Yeah.
okay. And he's involved with this business you've got with, is it small houses or building of small houses or something like that? Yeah.
Joy, yeah.
Joy
Joy
Tiny.
Tiny Homes.
Yeah.
And I developed a system where you can carry one wall through a narrow side yard, one wall at a time. So we're filming that. We've got the walls all built. We're waiting for the building permit to put the foundation in. And we're doing this in my backyard to start with. And so it's very much a startup, but you know, I have 3 people who want to buy these houses from me already. And I know that as soon as those are built, it will grow because we need 50 million housing units in the United States.
Oh.
And I'm not
Wow.
saying we need 50 million tiny houses, but tiny houses are going to fill the gap. And so right here in Orange County, you can divide your lot in 2 and you can build 2 houses and 2 ADUs on that land. So, you know, I own one of the last vacant lots here in Fullerton, and I can build 2 houses and 2 tiny houses, ADUs. Those are accessory dwelling units on that lot. So I can have 6 units, you
Wow.
know, 3 on each.
Yeah.
Because
So
I can
the de-
divide it. Well, is that incredible? Well, anyway, so there are a lot of people here in California that have the ability to put an ADU in their backyard or a tiny home. And those are my prospects, I guess you would say. But mainly, these houses can be trailered and go to anywhere that they can be shipped. They're not skinny like houses on wheels. Because we build them one wall at a time, we can make them more human scale. So,
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
So there's
you don't have to
definite-
crawl to bed. It's like, I don't want to have to go into a loft and crawl up to bed and not be able to stand up in my bedroom. That's not for me. So I designed a house with design psychology of way I wanted to have a tiny house if I were to live in a tiny house, which I think I could do. I did not think that a year ago before I moved into the home I'm in now. I moved from a huge house. In fact, we lived in a house that was 6,800 square feet in Florida. And I
Huge.
moved down when I moved back to California, but I still had at my last place 5,000 square feet between my house and my guest house, or maybe even more. But now I'm living in a house that's only 2,000 square feet. And so I call that a small house, but traditionally it is not a small house. When it was built in 1930, it was considered a big house. And so the human population has gone from living in houses that were 800 square feet to now thinking they need to have 4,000 square feet. In California, that's the perception. I don't know how it is in the United Kingdom, but you know, we have a lot of houses that were built here after 1950, and they got bigger and bigger and bigger. Every 5 years, they were bigger and bigger. And so now the typical house being built is usually over 3,000 square feet. And with the smaller households, I say you don't need that much to clean. You know, you just don't need that much house.
Yeah.
And so when I moved into the house I'm in now, I learned how to scale back, but I've also learned that it's so much easier and it's cozy. It feels much cozier, and I'm very happy at home. I don't have the big high ceilings and 8-foot doors. And guess what? I feel like I'm the most important thing in my house, not my house.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense, you know, because we're always used to, we always see houses in America are always very big and massive, whereas we're always in the UK, our houses are seen much smaller. I mean, we've got a smaller amount of land to fit in all our population, so it's going to be smaller and more cramped. But yeah, we tend to have smaller properties, and even I think our culture at the minute, we're downsizing into even smaller properties, we're finding. So I think maybe America's finally caught on, or you certainly have. You've definitely cornered a part of the market there, which is going to be very successful for you by the sounds of it. Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping that Joy Tiny Houses takes off, and I'm sure it will. But I feel like that's really helping a lot of people, but I really feel like I would like to help internet marketers because I've seen them struggling so much. So I'm really happy to be working on Joy TV Network too. And I also have Joy Publications, which I've published other people's books, but I'm not a traditional publisher. I like to help people get their word out there, get their books out there. And so I'm going to teach how to do all of that. And it's all going to be free.
Wow, brilliant.
Joy, just to finish off on the houses, I don't understand the term flipped houses. What does that actually mean? A flipped house?
Oh, flipping houses. Okay,
Yeah.
so my husband and I bought houses that we called dog houses, what meant that they were really run down, and we had like triple D. A triple D was a rundown dog house, a divorce, or what's that word? When default.
Oh, yeah. Repossessed. Yeah.
Yeah. So those triple D houses were the ones that we looked for, and we bought them with cash, and we bought very cheap. And then we would go in and fix them up, and our children would help us fix them up. And one time we did a house and we paid all our kids, but based on the percentages of how much we made and how many hours they put in. And they made so much money per hour that really spoiled them. So they had to go on and find careers that would pay them as much as flipping houses. But that's when you buy a house to fix it up and sell it, that's a flip. So we were flipping houses. And so my first book bestseller was Doghouse to Dollhouse for Dollars.
Great title.
Brilliant.
It's totally out of date. Don't go buy it. I should rewrite it and just put it out there. It's very difficult to buy a house now because investors do that so quickly that it's hard for somebody that's just a normal home buyer that wants to go out and buy a house. It's really hard for them to get into a home nowadays because of all the investors, because there's so much money to be made in real estate. But I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying be careful. Yeah. And the market goes up and the market goes down. And I never, ever thought it would go down so much as it did in 2008. It really crashed. And I thought it was going to crash when we started the pandemic. I was prepared to have that happen. And I was amazed that it kept going and got more expensive. My house that I bought in 2018 has gone up hundreds of thousands of dollars here in California. But maybe it'll all go down next year. You don't know. So everybody should have their own home, at least that much of a nest egg. And no matter what it is, if you have it paid off, it doesn't matter if it goes up and down in value. You always have your home that's secure.
Yeah, well, that's true enough, isn't it? Yeah. There's one other thing I'd like to ask you about before we have to go is, I think you've got very strong feelings about climate change. Is that right?
Oh, yes. And I've heard two theories or two things about our atmosphere. I've heard that it's 3 miles wide, and I've heard that it's 5 miles wide. Now, our Earth is really big, right? And then the atmosphere is so small. Imagine if it's only 3 miles. You can get in the car and go 60 miles an hour and drive through it and you'd be done in 3 minutes, or even if it's 5 miles. That's such a small amount. You know, it's such a small atmosphere. It's more the atmosphere that we have to protect. Climate change is going to happen whether or not, right? And so they do call it climate change and climate reality. I took the climate reality thing to become a climate reality leader, but it's really about saving the atmosphere. If we don't save our atmosphere, we're going to lose our home.
Yeah, very true.
That's
very
the
true.
big issue. So yes, and I'm happy to live smaller so that I can be nicer to the earth. And in California, when you build a tiny house in the backyard, you have to put solar on it for the electricity, and you cannot use natural gas to it. So that's saving.
Right, yeah.
And just the fact that it's smaller means less, needs less utilities, and so and they're made better, so they're very inexpensive with the solar. You know, the only thing that we really have to buy then is the water. But I love it that they're experimenting with how to make water out of our atmosphere. It's kind of scary though, how they're learning how to make water out of the air.
Yeah.
If they take out too much, is that going to ruin the atmosphere? That, you know, it's like we have to be very careful about what we do, and everybody has to be concerned. It's not just me, it's everybody has to come together. You know, I've heard also that if we all painted our roofs white, that we could stop climate change. If everybody just would paint their roof white. I don't know if that's really true. I'm trying to find out really factual. I mean, I've heard it. I heard it in Climate Reality and I believe them, but it's like, really? That's so easy. I painted a shed that we just built and I could only buy black roofing. So I had them paint it white. And it's just a small shed, but it's like, okay, if I can't buy white roof, I'm going to paint it. And I did. So now I'm getting ready to paint my roof on my house.
I'm not sure how that works then, because doesn't black absorb heat and white reflect it?
Yeah.
So I don't know
The
how
whole
that
thing,
works.
you absorb the heat and it makes everything hot and you reflect it back out into the atmosphere and it's supposed to keep it cooler. Keep the earth cooler.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I think I get that. One thing that always gets me about America is cars. It doesn't matter. They always like big cars, or that's my perception of it. Now, so where are they moving towards smaller cars in America? You know, with the fuel saving. I know your fuel is so cheap compared to ours. You know, so you can get away with it, but that's not actually helping the planet a lot, is it? Unless they start making smaller engines and more efficient engines. Is there anything going? Yeah, go on.
Yes. Well, California has very strong emission laws and they have been making cars more climate friendly by law. They have to. So, but what I would recommend is people to get into more like me and not drive the car at all. I have not driven my car all year.
You've got a couple of cars, haven't you?
I have a car that runs, it's an older Cadillac, not that, and it runs on ethanol. But I was, when my mother passed away, Matthew took Michael took my car to get some stuff for us and my car was stolen. And so we had it repaired after it was wrecked with the insurance, but then underneath it must have done something to the catalytic converter and I have not been able to get it fixed yet. So I have been without a car for months and months, and we have learned to have things brought in, to walk, to take Uber. And I figured, you know what? I don't really need a car. And I think that if more people lived where they could walk to the store, it would be really beneficial to the planet. And if they choose to live out in the country like I did before, well, maybe only go shopping once or twice a month instead of every week or every day.
Yeah.
You know, take your cars out less. But yes, we are making cars smaller and we're making them more fuel efficient. And they have to go without gasoline by 2035, I believe, here in California. You have to change, no more gasoline powered cars. So it's all a process. We're all learning. And if we all contribute in some way, I think that we will get there eventually. And I know, you know, we're probably taking Uber electric cars wherever we want to go. Okay. Well, I appreciate you. It's been really, really fun talking with you. And I hope that we get a chat again sometime.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, let's keep in touch.
I can interview you for Joy TV.
Hey, brilliant.
Yeah, that's a good show.
My next book, definitely.
That's a good show.
Yeah.
It's been
Well,
very interesting, actually, hasn't it? Yeah.
Can we book that now, Joy?
Brilliant.
Yeah. Oh, well, thanks again for your time, Joy. Let's keep in touch.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Cheers.
Take care. Thanks.
Bye now.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.